What's good, y'all? It's your girl, Kristen Ayana, and before we get into this episode, I just gotta say, make sure that y'all subscribe, like, and turn those post notifications on, and stay tuned with Black Talk Radio. Welcome to Black Talk Radio, hosted by Kristen Ayana. Listen as we discuss the latest in Black culture, Black news, and Black entertainment. What's good, y'all? It's your girl, Kristen Ayana, and welcome back to Black Talk Radio, where we discuss the latest in Black culture, news, and entertainment. Now, I'm super duper excited because we have a very special guest who I have with me today.
Guyviaud Joseph. Give a little, give a lot, Guyviaud.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for being here.
My
Really
pleasure.
excited to get to know you, talk to you, things of that nature. So, for those, who may or may not know, can you just tell us a little bit about, of course, who you are, your journey into how you gotten into your career and things of that nature?
Yeah, of course. So, Guyviaud Joseph. I'm from Jersey, Linden, New
Jersey in the
Jersey. Jersey
building.
stand up. Um, Currently, I now live in Cali, but I'm an actor, producer, filmmaker. I've been acting professionally for
Mhm.
about 10 years,
Wow.
11 years actually. And before that, I went to Penn State, got my
Mhm.
degree in business. But I had the acting bug since I was young. And I did like background in high school, background plays.
Mm.
And then in college, it kind of really stepped up when I started doing a few plays. I would audition not knowing that I was getting credits to minor in theater because I just enjoy doing it.
Oh.
And then I played Troy Maxon in Fences. I was in a bunch of the plays.
Mhm.
And then in my mind, I always knew that I would go back to it.
Mhm.
And it would be like on the side. I never saw it as the main thing
Okay.
because of fear.
Mm.
Caribbean parents,
Right.
they want you to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, something with a degree. So something that's a degree and a profession, like white collar profession
Mhm.
type of job. So I had a degree. I worked at CBS selling ads for about 4 years, and on that fourth year, I kind of made the decision that I wanted to transition into something I enjoy doing.
Mhm.
So because a job like that, I think money is like the main focus. It's what gets you excited for most
Yeah.
people in sales, regardless what kind of sales you're doing. Selling
Right.
cars, I've sold everything, cars, TV. And it's like if the money isn't the main focus, then you start to lose interest, and it's tough to get out of the shower or out of bed in the morning.
Mm.
So around 2011, I decided to quit the corporate job and started acting. Took a year just to like go to classes, study. I did a lot of studying in a library. I
Wow.
basically like did it like it was a 40-hour
Mhm.
um, course, like a 40. Like I basically put myself through a program where I was learning, and I made sure that I spent at least 8 hours a day in the library for 5 days out of the week,
Wow.
just to like learn it, look at books about actors, the industry, understanding the way the machine of this
Mhm.
business works. And then a year later, I had unemployment, took out I emptied out my
Mhm.
401k, everything. And then a year later, I really started to step into it. And around like 2014, 2015, I got my union membership, my SAG actor
Mhm.
membership. That kind of meant like you've done enough network credits to kind of be a
Right.
official SAG actor. And then since then, it's been, I was still working out end jobs,
Mhm.
overnight jobs. I would
Okay.
always, at interviews, say, like, look, I got a degree in business. I'm not looking at growing this company. I just need a job to pay
Job.
bills.
Right.
So I would make it known that that wasn't my priority. And most people would be like, oh, okay, well, we can't work with you. But there were
Mhm.
still people that would be like, okay, well, let's see if we can make this work. And I'm grateful for those
Mm.
people because they allowed me to be able to, pursue my passion and still provide and, pay bills. And then more recently, I also started producing because I learned that if you work behind the camera, there'll always be a job for you. But in
Yeah.
front of the camera, you may not always have an opportunity. So I started as a PA. Moved up the ranks, started ADing, did
Mhm.
commercials, music videos, and then to the point that I started producing projects. So I don't just act. I also produce, create films, and I have like a team of some people that I work with when we create. So
That's
I've been
fire.
fortunate, and now I'm on Tyler Perry's Zatima, as well as producing a feature film. It's my second feature film that I'm producing. So it's just a great time to be alive. It feels amazing.
I love that, but I also love that you mentioned once you quit your job, like you treated it like it was a course. Like you went to the library, you sat down for those hours every single day.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people aren't doing that. And I think, for a lot of people in society right now, there is a big struggle with like entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
being creative, and like having a 9 to 5 and like, job security and
Yeah.
financial security. But I really love how you explain that because like you weren't dumb about how you went about it. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people sometimes they'll go out and they'll say, I quit my job to do, for example, acting, or I quit my job to be a musician. But and then they're like, but I made it. And it's like, but no one's talking about the in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, how can you give that advice without, letting people know like what it really took? So I really appreciate you
Oh, of
sharing
course,
that.
no problem. I think one of the things that I remember at the time, Will Smith had,
Hmm.
there was a quote that was going around where he said reading and running. And he said, and I make it a point to like try to read and also even listen to audio book or something like
Yeah.
that. But reading, because any problem, there's no new problems under the sun. Everything is just a
Yeah.
different version of.
Right.
So if you take the time to read, you can find the solution to any problem. And he said running because when you're running and that voice is telling you to stop and you can power through that voice, if you can overcome that voice, then you can overcome any obstacle, kind of thing. So
Mm.
like for me, that really resonated with me. So I remember telling myself, like, I jogged a lot because that's how I cut like 30 pounds off of me.
Hmm.
But I just made it a point to come up with a strategy, and part of that was because of the business aspect, business
Right.
mindset that I had. So I kind of came up with a strategy and was like, you know what, let me figure out how to break in. I'm watching TV. I'm like, how do I audition for this thing? Like,
Yeah.
how do I get in front of, I don't even know how to get in front of the right people. I don't even know how it works. So I came up with a strategy. Okay, in a certain amount of time, then when I understood how it worked, then I had to restructure that strategy.
Hmm.
Once I found out that I needed an agent and a manager, and the only way to get an agent or a manager is to have a reel, then it was like, okay, now I have to create a reel within the next 6 months instead of
Right.
waiting for someone to hire me. At first, I was just doing a bunch of music videos. There's a director in Jersey. Shout out to Nimi Hendrix.
Oh
Um,
yeah, he's dope.
yeah, he's good people. So like when I first learned that I would need a reel, me and Nimi, I was just in a bunch of stuff that Nimi would do. I would play like the snitch that nobody wanted to be in the music video, like, or the cop that arrested. Like none of the rappers' friends wanted to be that person. So
Right.
I was like, okay, I'll do it, and that kind of helped me compile enough
Oh,
footage
I
to,
love
yeah.
that.
So I was like in a series Nimi did called Red Dot that we did. We had a bunch of episodes.
Hmm.
I was in so many music videos that he's done, playing somebody, some character, or somebody with a shirt off getting, strangled, or something. It was always fun though.
I think that's dope. And I think it also shows like the importance of community
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like
Yeah,
sometimes I always say like networking across is like super important.
100%.
And it's like you get to grow with people and you learn so much from those experiences for sure.
Yeah, Byron Allen talked about that.
Hmm.
Byron Allen is like a billionaire that owns. He owns the Weather Channel. He's really done really well for himself. But he talked about when he very first wanted to get into TV, he found out what conferences, what kind of events they
Hmm.
had where TV people would be. So it's like no matter what industry you want to be in, if you really want to understand the way it works, or at least start to like know who the major players are, which you should start to like research, you at least want to go to some of these events where let's say you want to be a radio host, you'll go to an
Right.
event where there's like radio, from a national convention from around the
Yeah,
world or something like that.
exactly.
And you make it a point to like be seen, meet the right people, and understand what it takes. And you never know, you might find an opportunity just by
Hmm.
going to that. So I think it's important to put yourself in a position where you're able to know who the players are and find
Right.
out about your industry, because every industry is different, right?
Yeah, I love that. And I think too, like that's something that I've been trying to actually do more of, like going to more events that are catered to like podcasting,
Mm-hmm.
radio. If there's like specific goals that I have for my show, I'm looking at like events that cater directly to that.
Yeah.
Something I was actually talking to like one of my uncles about yesterday. He works in like finance and he, we just came up with a strategy and an idea, but it made me realize that, yo, people don't go outside and network as much as we should.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
especially like for content creators or like social media or like online platforms, I think we focus so much on the fact that like the views need to hit, people need to subscribe, I got to reach them online, but you can also go outside and reach people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's like something I'm like trying to get into.
I think it's see that's a good point you bring up. I'm gonna move this pillow real
Yeah,
quick just so I
of
can lean back
course,
a
of
little
course.
bit. It's I think
Halloween.
it's double. I think it's like there's two sides to it because for one you have to do the creative, which is that getting the views and getting people to see it, but you also need to be mindful that it's a business,
Right.
right? So it's called show business,
Mm-hmm.
not business show. And the business is a fundamental part of it, which is like meeting the right people, networking. As you're getting the views, if you want to be able to really capitalize off of that, and start to build towards creating your own show, you have to have your business in order.
Right.
Being able to show certain numbers or being registered so that you can
Right.
show like, here's how much we brought in, here's how much ad revenue. And that's when other people start saying, oh snap, they was able to do that with that.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if I give them this bag, what they could do with it.
Right.
So I think it's just as important to take care of the business side of things, which is going to those events, shaking, meeting the right people, understanding the way that machine works. And I like to say, like, if you understand the way a machine works, you know how to find its hacks to bypass certain things. So, like, instead of waiting, like a lot of actors waited for someone else to book them for a project for them to be able to use it for their reel. Instead of waiting for that, maybe because I was able to be a PA and I worked behind the camera, I was able to meet aspiring filmmakers who was like, I have a camera, but I'm only a assistant, whatever. Let's shoot a scene, and then that scene turns into what I use to get an audition for Power, let's say, or something like that. Like that's literally what happened with Power. Me and some friends got together, shot a fight scene, and about a month later, they said they needed an actor who can do stunts. And the scene that we shot was me doing some stunt work with some acting, and that led to me being able to audition for that, for Power, and booking it.
That's amazing. I think too, like, to your point, people have to like go out and like seek things. Like you can't wait. Like, of course we have faith in God, but like faith without work is dead. So I think that's super important. Like, think outside the box too. Like, don't, to your point, like, don't just, someone else may have thought like, well, damn, I don't have a reel, so like I can't.
Yeah, I can't get an agent.
But it's like, nah, there's ways around things. So yeah, exactly. So now I want to get into you being on Tyler Perry's Zatima.
Yeah, Zatima.
The season is back. People are loving it. Just talk to us, about your character, you auditioning for the role, you working with Tyler Perry and the team. Yeah. Just give us all the gems.
All the tea, all the gems. So, I mean, the first thing I'll say is it was a bit of a journey to get to this point. I think first in 20, and it goes to show that, like, and we were just talking about like a personality on TV who had to fight to be able to get their shot in their own TV show. And so in 2018, I auditioned for a pilot series that I booked, and it was with Vivica Fox. It was a lot of like Monique Coleman, who was in High School Musical.
Yeah.
Reginae Carter, Lil Wayne's daughter. There was a lot of like people in this project that were like, kind of growing. And I was one of the leads of this show, and I was supposed to play a twin of myself. Like, one version was locked up, the other version was like a good guy. And we shot this season. Mark Swinton, who was the VP of Tyler Perry Studios at the time, was the director of this project. And it got picked up at first from BET, and then it got dropped, and then it got picked up again. And then finally it got picked up during COVID, and DL Hughley's company was going to pick it up. But since then, stuff happened. So that was in 2018. That's when I first met someone from Tyler Perry Studios. 2019, fast forward, there's a big audition that they have because he had to deal with BET. I auditioned in New York, and then there's something called a director's session. So like the way that it works is you audition several times for a role.
Right.
So you audition the first time, your casting director sends the tape in. After that, you have a second audition. Typically, it's like a producer session where the producer's there. Then you have a third audition where the director's there, and they might give you notes. So I auditioned for the Oval first, and
Okay.
then I got fast tracked to the director's session where I was flown out to Atlanta, and they like flew certain people out, like the top of the whatever. So went out there. So I auditioned for Oval, didn't get that. Then I went through that same process for Sisters, didn't get that. Total, by the time I auditioned for Zatima, this was my 9th time auditioning for one of the shows,
right,
a project
under
the Tyler Perry umbrella. And I remember the day I got it, I was jogging, and I was kind of like, in between. I had already shot a short film that won Best Actor award, but I didn't necessarily feel like I saw progress from that. So I was kind of like in a funk. And when I got that call, it was like, hey, we're trying to get a hold of your manager. My manager had passed a couple months before, so they couldn't actually get a hold of me. So then they sent me an IG message like, hey, send us this audition. Sent it in. And like 2 days later, I got the call that I booked it. So
how did you feel?
It was exciting. It was like still doubtful, like, because like, when you get hit when you have so many near, it's like you never want to get too excited, so part of me was like, let me not get too excited until we're on set filming.
Okay.
And then after we filmed, it was like, until this airs, like, don't get too hyped. And then when it aired, it was like, oh my God, like, it's a hit. So it's that, I mean, working with Mr. Perry has been remarkable, amazing. It's been like seeing him work. He's wearing 3 different hats. He's creatively adding to the story while he's looking at his shots and trying to figure out what he's getting. And it's like it's literally working with someone that has a genius level mindset and is working at a capacity of genius.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
And I'm really glad that like you finally got that yes, because I know it was like a long time coming.
Yeah. I mean, and it's important to pay attention to the small wins too. Like, I was very cognizant. Like, winning Best Actor at this film festival, Chelsea Film Festival, is like it's a great honor.
Right.
Like, I won a few other awards at different places. The fact that I booked Power and I played a recurring guest star on that, like, I would still have wins that were able to keep me going, but as a union actor, the goal is to like become a series regular on a show. Like, that's like one of the major milestones, and then it leads to like being able to do film and so I just, once I got that milestone, I was like, okay, but still there's always a sense of like, what's next? I got to do more. I got to whatever, and a lot of people understand that
for sure. But honestly, I definitely relate to you on saying like accomplishing something and then just feeling like, okay, what's next? I think I do the same thing, but I feel like it's a terrible thing as humans.
You think so?
I would say for me, because I don't feel like I'm basking in my wins as much as I should. Like, it's kind of just like, all right, this is off the to-do list. Yeah. What's next? But I've been learning to like enjoy my wins.
Yeah, make a meal out of it.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that. I just think at certain times it's like, because what happens is, and that's why I think it's important to learn to enjoy the journey, because like if you're enjoying the journey, all the little moments in between, you're able to like look at it and be like, oh man, this was dope, even though it was a 20-hour day or a 16-hour day on set. Like, oh man, look at this, we're all bonding. Like, that's what it feels like when I'm on set, right? Like, we all get to bond and we all have to have a good time, and the fans liking the show is icing on the cake, right? Like, us being able to create something that we're excited about, we have a good time with each other. That's like, even in those moments, I'm enjoying the win,
right?
Whether we're number 1 on BET Plus, which we are, or not, but that's not, those moments, the gratification will only go but so long if that's what we're looking towards.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is, by enjoying the journey a little more and making the most of it, then it's like, okay, I hit this milestone, I appreciate it. Maybe have a night out at a restaurant to celebrate, but then after that, it's like, okay, what's the next thing? To not live in it too long and feel like, oh, I made it, I'm good.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, your character on Zatima,
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is like the similarities between you and your character and the differences?
Okay. Yeah. So, for those that are caught up on Zatima, I would say some of the similarities between me and Tony is we're business people, like business minded. We tend to be there and have a loyalty for our friends, right?
Right.
Like I'm a very loyal person, and I've kind of let go of a lot of the childish things that like my that Nate have, some of those things. And he's really caring and understanding and kind of empathetic to both Zach and Fatima. And I'm like that in real life. I try to be empathetic and be understanding. Everybody's paradigm is different. Everybody comes from different walks of life, so they may not all see something the same way that I see it.
Right.
So I'm cognizant of that. Some of the differences, though, I would say, I don't know if you've seen what's happening right now on the show, but I definitely would have told Zach about what Jeremiah did to Fatima. Like, when I first read it, I was like, oh. And, me and Cameron got on the phone, and Cameron was like, hey, how you feel about not telling Zach? I was like, you son of a... Like, no, I wouldn't have...
Right.
Like, little things like that, I think. But I think that's also what happens in life. Like, in life, a lot of times why there's issue is because of miscommunication.
Yeah.
Like, I say, all right, see you in 5, but they hear, I'll see you at 5, and somebody else thinks, oh, in 5 minutes they're going to leave. Like, so every person, that little bit of info that you leave out, that detail could be the thing that causes friction so often. So I think that's it reflects life, but I try to feel like I try to give a little more explanation and communicate a little bit sooner versus being the guy that's like, no, don't tell him, it's Fatima's job to tell him. Like, no, that's your boy, you should have told him from the jump. I would say that's our biggest differences.
Okay, I feel like I could definitely see that. Like, and communication is super important. Like, you would be in some big problems in life over miscommunication.
Over the smallest of things, the dumbest of things. Yeah.
But miscommunication keeps the dramas going in the show.
Every yeah.
Okay.
When you think about it, all the great dramas, it's like you could have just told them right then and there. You could have just told them, but you didn't, and then that causes a big eruption and then blow up.
Definitely.
Yeah. I agree.
Now I want to get into your family and like you being an actor, entrepreneur. How do you balance all of that?
It's a lot. So I have a newborn,
I know,
5-month-old daughter. So yeah, she's Zoe. She's doing great, thankfully. She was born a little early. She was born 2 months early, preemie. But I think what's important is, for one, like I try my best to not let social media overtake me. Because what's funny about it, like, way back in the day, there was a site called Black Planet, which that was like
I remember that.
Was like that. Oh, you remember? Okay, so it was like like what Instagram is now. But the difference is back then, all these sites were on your computer. You had to wait until you went home,
right,
in order to actually like see what message somebody sent.
Even
you.
MySpace, like that was not on nobody's phone.
That wasn't on. It would take you 2 days for it to load if it was. So MySpace, Black Planet, all of those sites, you had to wait till you got home. Whereas now, social media lives with us. So it controls us versus us controlling it.
Yeah.
So I think a big thing is, for one, understanding the value of your time, and it's the one commodity you can't get back. So understanding the value of it and then using your time strategically. Time management is a big thing. And I think, for us as Black people, we've always been not behind on it. We're always trying to play catch up. Like, because of the government, the society that we're in, we're always going to be behind. And I think a lot of times, we're always trying to play catch up, but at times it's okay for us to just take a second, breathe, and just say, I don't have to take care of everything. Let me just focus on doing this, and this, and do those 3 things well versus doing, I started to notice that I would be late because I would give out my time to certain people, and I'd be like, okay, well, I'll give them 15. That would lead to 30. I'll give them another. And then before I know it, it's like my day is getting pushed back. I'm not able to accomplish things I'm looking to accomplish. So I think time management plays a huge role with me being able to have a CMOS company, produce a film, go shoot, take care, spend time with the family, And kind of minimizing the amount of social media that I take in,
Right.
because that stuff, you can get stuck in it real quick. Yeah, so I would say my time management is something that I've worked on
Yeah, that's
recently.
really important. And I definitely think too, like, to your point of like black people always feeling like we have to catch up. Also, like, it's okay to like rest. I think, like, because if you don't rest, your body's gonna force you. And I've been down
Yeah.
that road, and that's not a fun road at all.
No,
Because
no.
then you're literally stuck, like, and it being sick or feeling like exhausted or like burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no easy fix to that.
No, no.
And that's what I had to learn. Like, I was doing so much that it got to the point where I would like literally go to sleep, but I would still wake up so exhausted. Like,
Wow.
I would feel hazy, like
Yeah,
not,
not clear minded.
like
Not
not like it would just feel like it was the weirdest thing ever. And I went to the ER, and they were like, "Well, there's nothing like
technically wrong.
technically wrong with you, but like you're probably suffering from exhaustion." And I
Wow.
literally, like, it was the weirdest thing ever. Like, ever since then, I don't even play those games because it's no quick fix.
No, no. And it takes even, what happens is once your body gets past a certain point where it's like you can't fix it, then it becomes something where you need like a major surgery, or it's like a major
Yeah,
organ might shut down,
right.
like, so and I've seen it, like, my mom, like I was saying, my mother's Haitian,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen her work her whole life, and it got to a point where I'm like, because she wouldn't rest, and it wound up really affecting her physically, and still to this day, like, she's recovered, she's in rehab, and she's doing better, but I've
God.
seen how it physically affects
Mm-hmm.
her. So, like, I make it a point now. I mean, prime example is while I'm producing this feature film, I tried to get less than 5 hours of sleep. My body shut down. I didn't wake up until the 8 hour mark, and then I kind of snapped up, and I got to set like an hour and change late. But it was okay because they were still kind of setting up, and
Right.
I take the least amount of time to get ready, to get dressed. So, but I was reminded of it just last week. Like,
Yeah,
take the time to relax, and I think
because, oof.
therapy is also something that our
Yes.
culture isn't
Ooh.
100% into.
I love therapy.
It may not be that they're not into it, but we just don't know the same way,
Yeah.
right? Like, we're not in the know the way that some other cultures are. They talk about it at the dinner table. They talk about
Mm-hmm.
it with their kids.
It's not seen as like taboo-ish.
Yeah, yeah. I had to do it because of I lost my father at a young age, so it was something that was kind of a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
And that, once I kind of saw how I was able to grow and get through certain things, that was like, okay, this is something that I need every once in a while. It's not something you do every day. It's not something you do
Yeah.
for the rest of your life, but you have moments where your cup starts to get full,
Right.
and when it starts to get to that level where it's like it can't take anymore, you kind of need to reset to be
Mm-hmm.
able to carry the load of what's to come. So I think it's important for us to do that. Help us get clarity. Help us understand, because then you could even you start to use that frame of thinking on yourself, and then things that
Yeah.
would have made you blow up, you're like, what's at the root of this? Like, why am I really upset?
Right.
I don't care that they don't even know me to be upset
Right.
that I cut them off. It's just, oh, I don't. And then before you
Everything's so
know it,
much deeper.
yeah, before you know it, it's like the thing that would have bothered you 6 months ago, you don't even care, and further down the line. So yeah, things like that I think are important for us as a people to grow.
I totally agree. Like, I love therapy because I feel like as black people, we're super layered.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll go like years with pushing something like in the back of your mind, and then you'll think that's really how you are, but it's like, no, that's actually not how you are. Like, you literally had a traumatic experience at 4,
Yep.
and now you're 40, and the shit's still with
And the
you.
shit's still hitting you. Yeah, actually, like, I forgot about something that happened. One of my first experiences driving in Jersey, I remember
Hmm.
going to we were trying to go to well, it happened a few times, but within 6 months of me first learning to drive, I got guns pulled out on me by police officers three
Oh my
times.
god.
So, like, one time I tried to get a police officer's attention, and I was like, yeah, I'm trying to find the way to get to, I think it was Wildwood. And
Hmm.
the cop, I'll never forget this, because I parked like to the side of them.
Hmm.
They left the parking lot, came back around, and then went behind me, put their lights on, and they made it. And then it was like, yeah, I pulled you over. I'm like, yo, B, like, and it was like my brother
What?
and somebody else in the car. I'm like, yo, I came to ask you
You
which
a
way to
question?
go, and you
Yeah.
and like, and I had forgot about that until something recently when I was like driving, and I was like, well, everything on my paper straight. Why the hell am I like, why am I slightly nervous right now? Like, I know I'm good, and I'm not gonna do anything crazy. If the cops try to pull me over, I know how to act to not, like, I got my PPA cards and stuff on me.
Right.
But I forgot about that, and it's like little things like that, and it's like typically we just, you would hear, old school, they'd be like, oh, just suck it up, that ain't nothing. But you do, like I said earlier, you do so much of that, and your cup is gonna get so over that you topple over. So before you know, you start spazzing on some random cop for no reason. It's like, well, what
happened?
Now you locked up just because you forgot to deal with some ish from when you was like 16. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's important for us to kind of have the mental clarity and take the steps so that we could be mentally stable and do what's best for us.
Yeah, and I also think too with therapy, like, it's definitely work, and you have to be ready to do that work.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to therapy and you realize you're a certain way because of XYZ, it doesn't just stop there.
Yeah, and
that's really important.
Painful to accept that. It's painful to accept some of those things. Like, this thing that I'm doing is not right. I have to fix it, and I have to catch myself and not let my emotions take over. Right. Yeah, I agree.
But it's all a process.
Yeah, exactly.
At least just start. I feel like just starting to, like, work through your traumas as humans is, like, important at the baseline.
I agree.
Because there's a lot of people that actually don't ever work through it.
Yeah, and but we see those people, like, there's some people that are able to be successful and never work through it, right? But then I feel like the majority of people that aren't able to work through some of their issues, they never grow past a certain ceiling. And they're always at a certain ceiling. And I mean, I have this philosophy about, like, life as human beings. Like, every creature on this earth gives back in some way, shape, or form. The bees help make honey, the flies help pollinate, the trees give oxygen, like, every single being on this earth in some way, shape, or form gives back, except for human beings. Human beings take, destroy, eat, boom, boom. Like, the more advanced we get, the worse we get for this environment. But as a person that once you know better, then you realize, oh, I can give back in other ways. And so I think that's the same thing with working on yourself. Like, instead of you destroying, learn to give back and allow yourself to grow. And that's how, you get to that place where you're able to be successful and not let some BS let you slide, or some drug kind of take over and be the crutch to your life. Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, like, to your point, do those things so you can be better, because that's all, we're here to be our best selves.
Yep.
So, I love that. Now, my final question.
Yes.
If you could leave your supporters, people that watch Zatima, with one thing to remember about you, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Okay. I'll say, if I could leave with one thing, I would say, give a little, give a lot, Guyviaud. And it's like a way to remember my name, but it also has meaning to it. I feel like I'm the type of person that is very giving and caring, and empathetic for others, and I implore, people to be that way. Not being a sucker and not being naive, but when there's and this one thing that I love about, like, New York, for example. Like, in New York, and Jersey's the same way. New York and Jersey are like, siblings. It's like, people are very giving. They may not be kind. The way that it comes across may not be the way that you want. It may not be like, hey, it will be like, yo, I'm trying to find whatever. It'd be like, yo, it's down that way. Watch it. It's still kind and giving, but it may not seem as,
to the outsider.
As, like, nice and polished and plush and shiny. But I think it's important that if you're able to do something kind once a day, it's just, it's important for our society and for people to continue to grow. You look at two different, and I don't want to get into politics because, they say that that's the fastest way to, like, lose your audience. But, like, when you're running for office and you go off of hate versus going off of love and care, it's two different things. Going with love and with care, it's like you still protect yourself, but you're still trying to look out for the betterment of the whole. So yeah, so I would say that's what I leave people with. Give a little, give a lot, give a yacht.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for chatting with me. I've really enjoyed our conversation. And of
Same.
course, we're wishing you nothing but the best.
Oh yeah, same. I love what you got going on over here with Black Radio Talk.
Thank
Black
you.
Talk Radio.